up? It's CinemaShogun here, and we have ourselves another little twist in the Kansas City Chiefs fans' case. So yesterday, it was revealed that Jordan Willis checked himself into rehab. And then it was revealed that for the first time, police and investigators sat down with the families to talk to them about the case. Well, the families talked to the police, obviously. They asked them about Jordan being in rehab, and here's what they had to say. They said that they have no confirmation that Jordan is in rehab, and that is just a rumor as of right now. So what does that tell you all? No, it doesn't necessarily tell you that Jordan is lying, although he very well could be. But at the very least, this tells us that law enforcement does not have eyes on Jordan. Law enforcement has not kept track of Jordan. Law enforcement has no idea where Jordan is. Because this is something that investigators should easily be able to confirm. Yet they say they're aware that that information is out there, but they say, oh, it's a rumor, there's no confirmation. So, I don't know, folks. I don't know. They do not know where Jordan is. That's what I gathered from this information. So this is just yet another detail that just makes you feel like law enforcement may be dropping the ball in this investigation. Because, from the get-go, it seemed like they weren't really doing their jobs in this case. It felt like they just wanted to write this case off for some reason. Now, the optimistic side of me wants to believe that the reason why they're being so tight-lipped and secretive right now is because this turned out to be something way bigger than they expected. This is not just a case of three men, ODing on some bad stuff. This is a case of a scientist that was working on freaking magazines, if you will. This is a world-renowned, honored scientist. And he's here at home whipping up homemade substances and handing them out to his friends. Maybe they think this is bigger and that's why they're trying to be so secretive. That's what my optimistic side wants to believe. But I haven't seen much to make me feel like that's the case. But nevertheless, law enforcement has sat down with the families. They've reassured them that they're looking at this from all angles. One of the stepmothers for one of the men that died, she was on the news earlier. I want to roll this clip really quickly. But first, I need a huge favor from all of you all. It's totally free. It only takes 1 second. I need you to hit the thumbs up button. I need you to subscribe. And I need you all to ring that notification bell. If you don't have your notifications on, ring that notification bell. But with that being said, we're going to roll this news clip, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
Linda, how did the meetings go today with the Platte County prosecutors?
It went well. We got just reassurance that they are looking into this case fully. They didn't give any specifics on, evidence or what they found or what they haven't found. They just reassured us that it is being investigated.
Did they make any mention of Jordan Willis and reports that he checked himself into rehab recently?
They only mentioned that there is a rumor of that. They don't have any verification of that.
But they acknowledged they had heard that same report.
Yes, they did acknowledge that.
Linda, did they give any further descriptions of the way the bodies were found in the backyard?
No, they did not. And they said they weren't going to get specifics because they didn't want to take taint the investigation. They didn't want to paint any possible anything going forward. So they just weren't getting into specifics.
And it must be so frustrating, especially since this most recent report that David Harrington was found seated in one of those lawn chairs out back. Did they say anything about what David and Ricky and Clayton were wearing out back?
They did not. Like I said, they did not give us anything on the investigation side. They didn't want to, possibly if, you were called in to be what is the word I'm looking for? If you were called into court to answer questions, they didn't want to taint what you might say.
Understandable. I know that April Mahoney, who is Clayton McGeeney's fiance, made the discovery, at least of one of the bodies. Can you explain that or describe that as you have learned from her? How exactly did she see the body that she saw? Was it through a window? Did she go into the backyard? Like, how did it happen?
My understanding is she entered the house through the front into the basement. And she went upstairs and was looking through a window and saw the body seated on the back patio in a chair.
So she was able to see through a window that David Harrington was seated in that lawn chair on that back patio. Did she mention if it was the kitchen window or if it was the doorway window or it might be a sunroom or a breakfast nook? Did she mention which window?
She did not, and I have not personally talked to her. This is just information that I have received secondhand.
Were you or your husband, Ricky, asked to come and identify Ricky's son, Ricky Jr.? Who made the identification for the police?
We were not asked to go identify the body. They told us that the bodies have to thaw out. They were frozen, and that could have possibly have taken to that Friday. Well, we weren't really willing to wait that long. So I called the medical examiner the next day, and I started describing Ricky's tattoos and his piercings, and she told me that was one of the deceased that she had.
Did you ask if you could come and make that identification personally yourselves?
I did call the police and ask them if that is something we could do so we could get an identification sooner, because you still hold out hope that he is going to come home. You want to make sure that that's him. I was told that that's something that you only see in movies. Don't need people to identify bodies.
To be clear, they said that's only something they do in the movies if you wanted to identify Ricky yourselves. Is that clear?
Yes, that's for me.
Identifying a body is not something you just see on movies. I've covered plenty of cases before where the parents had to come in and identify a body. You know what I mean? And I imagine that it's a horrific, emotional situation, but sometimes people want to do it because they want to see with their own eyes. They want to see if they notice any marks or bruises or cuts or anything off on their child or loved one, because they know their loved one better than anyone else. And sometimes parents or a loved one feels as if they need to see for themselves, to see if, investigators or the people conducting autopsies and stuff like that missed anything. I've seen that happen in these true crime cases. I've seen, cases where you didn't hear about some of the injuries that someone sustained, and a parent going and viewing the child's body with their own eyes and saying, oh, I noticed that the eyes were puffy and there was swelling here and swelling there, stuff that law enforcement hadn't even mentioned. So yeah, it's not just something you see in movies. I don't know why they told them that, but saying, oh, the bodies were frozen, like, oh, I don't even want to think about it. I don't even want to think about it. But once again, we hear that the lady who broke into the house and found the body, or at least saw David, she saw him through the window. That's, I don't know how many times we need to have this confirmed, but once again, we hear that she saw David sitting in the lawn chair through the window. So, folks, if she could see that through the window, so could Jordan. So if Jordan was up and around his house, he would have seen it. But right now, we don't even know if Jordan's really in rehab. I'm leaning towards believing that he is, but knowing that law enforcement doesn't know, that definitely doesn't reassure you. It makes you feel kind of iffy and weird about the situation. Because at the very least, this is something that we rely on law enforcement to know. Like, we need y'all to know these details. You don't got to tell us, but you at least need to know. But they don't. So, hey, who knows what we'll hear next. But for right now, let me know what you think down in the comments below. While you're down there, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to the channel via CashApp, or you can donate via Super Thanks, or for free. You can help the channel in many ways by liking, subscribing, ringing that notification bell, and all of that good stuff. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all soon in the next one.